It's a first ever Big Ten sailgate for the Husky faithful in the waters of Union Bay on a beautiful Saturday in Seattle. Northwestern pays a visit to the Pacific Northwest for the first time in 40 years as the Wildcats head into Husky Stadium. Washington hosts its first ever Big Ten conference game.
Alex, can I pet that dog?
It may be later. Let's get the weird out of the way first, all right? Northwestern and Washington playing a conference game. That's weird enough. What's also weird is they've already played the Apple Cup this year in mid-September. Washington coming off a bitter defeat to their in-state rivals.
Yeah, very unusual, as you said, at week 3, playing in that Apple Cup. And, of course, the Husky fans upset about that call of option, speed option, into the short side of the field, which sealed the loss in that Apple Cup. But you know what? You just got to bounce back. And talking to Jed Fish, you know, the thing that he was really most excited about was their room for improvement. He knows they can get better, and this guy, Will Rogers, can be a part of that. All
right, so Jed Fish's Washington Huskies trying to bounce back here today. Meanwhile, for Northwestern, they could argue that they should be 3-0 as well. A double overtime loss to Duke. They've made a change at quarterback, and now they're without their featured back coming into today.
Yeah, Cam Porter, I mean, he's one of those bowling ball with butcher knives kind of guy, and his backup, Joseph Hyman, not as big, about 5'9", 190 pounds, but he is an extremely versatile player, so watch him coming out of the backfield as well. And when you look at this Northwestern offense, they're a little bit smaller at that receiver position, but they like their chances against those taller and longer defensive backs for Washington.
So Washington won the toss, they deferred. And it will be Northwestern ball to begin the night. Today's Stay in the Game sponsored by Hampton by Hilton. Hilton for the stay. Robert Smith, what do you have?
Yeah, for Northwestern, handle the pressure. Handle the pressure coming on the road, but you're also going to need to handle that pressure as an offense. Remember, Steve Belichick, the defensive coordinator, he really likes to bring those pressure looks, so they got to be ready for that. And Washington got to play cleaner. I mean, a week ago, 12 penalties, so a lot of room for improvement. And the thing that Jed Fish said was, we got to focus on more of those details within the game, inside the 5-yard line, finishing drives. And you can see Will Rogers right there. He's ready to get it done.
Washington at 2-1, Northwestern at 2-1. As these two teams get ready to begin conference play. Just a spectacular day. Beautiful outside. The tailgating here, the sailgating is just impeccable.
It's really an incredible scene. Last time these two teams played, 1984, which is the year that Purple Rain came out as an album. You see the Purple Rain spelled here a little bit differently. Cool to see both teams in the purple.
And the Husky faithful with a different conference opponent to cheer against. Only the 4th meeting all time between Washington and Northwestern. They'll get to know one another over the next couple of years, and we're underway here at Husky Stadium. Coco Azuma from 2 yards deep stumbles across the 10-yard line. The turf monster bites right away here in Seattle, and he's slow to get up. Northwestern will have tough field position to begin this evening. Jack Lausch will lead the Wildcats out on the field. He assumed the starting job after Mike Wright struggled in the first 2 weeks of the season. Last week was his first ever Division I start for the redshirt sophomore from Chicago.
Yeah, from Chicago, Brother Rice High School, also a baseball player. And the thing that really stood out in the game a week ago, particularly in that first half, he is very dangerous with his legs. He was running like a running back. Didn't carry it as much in the second half, but got much better and more comfortable with his passing.
Hyman in the backfield, and on play action, they'll swing it out to A.J. Henning, who we expect to get a lot of touches for Northwestern here this evening. Take a look at the Wildcats offense. Couple of absences on their offensive line. Nick Herzog, left guards, are a bit thin on the left side of their line coming into the day. And without Frank Covey at wide receiver, the redshirt freshman who suffered a lower body injury in week 3, did not return to that game and is out here today, along, as we mentioned, with Cam Porter, a leading rusher for Northwestern, who's unavailable. After just a 1-yard gain, second down, and here's Hyman. Hyman busting up a nice run. That could have been a little bit of trouble for Northwestern, but Jack Lausch tumbles ahead and creates a 3rd and manageable here for Northwestern. Washington's defense, they kept their opponents out of the end zone for the first 8 quarters of this season, averaging just 12 points per game against this year, one of the best marks in the country. But penalties have been an issue for the Huskies to begin the season.
Yeah, they certainly have. And we talked about handling the pressure. Here it is. You got 3rd and 3 on the road. Loud environment here. Got to see how this Northwestern offense responds to this changing look that you'll see on the defense with defensive coordinator Belichick.
C.J. Johnson in motion, Lausch to pass, and it's incomplete, intended for Bryce Kurtz, the 5th-year senior. A 3 and out for the Wildcats to begin the night.
Yeah, we talked about those pressure looks, and you're going to see Brian Parham come in late. And he's going to be matched up against Joseph Hyman, the running back, who's going to try and block him. Really doesn't get much of a piece of him. And that's what forces the errant throw and now the punt.
So Luke Akers, UCLA transfer, will boot this one away. Spiraling punt. Fair caught at the 37-yard line by Denzel Boston, and the Huskies will have a short field after a 45-yard punt. Will Rogers, as you talked about, Robert, you know, last week the coach took a lot of the blame for the late game play call, but Rogers, it seems like, is also trying to just, again, get settled in to what's a very different system than what he was running at Mississippi State.
Yeah, and of course at Mississippi State, you know, with Mike Leach for all those years, that air raid style, and this is a true pro-style offense, and really a reason that I think Will Rogers wanted to come here to show coaches at the next level that he could run a system like this.
One of the most experienced quarterbacks in Division I. He'll shovel this one to Kaleki Latu, the tight end, the senior from Sacramento, California, transfer from Nevada, season-ending broken fibula last year. But he's bounced back well. The Huskies' offense looks like this, with Jonah Coleman, one of the top running backs in the Big Ten here. Denzel Boston and Giles Jackson also names to look for.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the wide receivers that this Washington team had a year ago, and those guys down, Denzel Boston and Giles Jackson, never really had a chance. Watch the way these guys can move, though. Very explosive players.
Jackson in motion, play action, and the blitz comes, and Rogers able to get rid of it just in the nick of time. Jalen Pates brought the heat.
Yeah, Pate brought the heat. You can't see exactly with the protection here. You could see Jonah Coleman, the running back, trying to get out of his fake early. It looked like it might have been just a misidentification of that front. Guard might have turned out, or tackle might have turned out, and left Pate to go free.
Trips to the wide side on 3rd and 4. And Rogers to pass, and he has no time. He cannot get away from Anto Saka, redshirt sophomore from Baltimore, and Northwestern picks up its 10th sack now to begin the season as a team. A 3 and out for Washington.
Well, we know that David Braun, the head coach, that his background is defense, and Tim McGarrigle, the defensive coordinator, knows a little thing or two about defense as well. And it was just a little bit of extra pressure. Will Rogers in that offense just not able to adjust.
I had a feeling, Robert, this might be a little bit of a defensive struggle, the way both of these teams' defenses have played through the first 3 weeks of the season. Jack McAllister, nice punt. And return from the 16-yard line out across the 30. And it'll be good field position for Northwestern after A.J. Henning brings it back 18 yards. Just underway in Seattle. FS1 College Football is sponsored by Hampton by Hilton. Hilton for the stay. What a day in Seattle. Huh?
It's 2 weeks in a row we get sailgating as well. It looks a little bit different here than it did down in Waco.
It's true.
Nothing against Waco, but man, this is just gorgeous.
Yeah. Absolute perfection. 3 and outs for both teams to begin. Washington and Northwestern, each with their conference openers. First ever Big Ten game for the Washington Huskies. Jack Lausch and the Northwestern Wildcats back to work here. And they'll start at the 34-yard line. Lausch to pass with time, juggled, incomplete. A.J. Henning had it and lost it.
Well, Lausch a little bit low with that throw, but that's one that A.J. Henning knows that he should have, and just almost comes to a complete stop. And sometimes at wide receiver, you know, when you break down like that, you kind of lose concentration, because a guy should be able to catch that smoothly in stride. Had to slow down a little bit. Sometimes you think a little bit too much, and confusingly just makes it harder to catch.
Hyman in the backfield here on second down. And he'll get the call. And he'll maybe get a yard. And it'll be third down.
Great job along that defensive front that time, just taking those gaps away. And this is something that Steve Belichick, defensive coordinator, has really emphasized: defeating blocks using your hands and using those eyes, because as a running back sees where the defensive line is, initially tries to cut back. You want those defensive linemen to take extra gaps falling back into the hole.
Keep an eye on the edge rusher, Voi Tunaufi. UW veteran, 43rd career game. On third down, Lausch to pass, flag flies, deep ball, incomplete. And it's fourth down. Penalty will be against Northwestern, and Washington will decline it.
Illegal motion offense. That penalty is declined. It is fourth down.
Now the Wildcats had trouble running the ball to begin the season. Their offense is still trying to find its way a little bit. Played against FCS Eastern Illinois last week. They broke 150 rushing yards. But just haven't been able to find a good rhythm just yet. Denzel Boston, the deep man here, from his own 16-yard line.
Low kick.
Yeah. And he'll take it at the 21. Boston slips a tackle and will cross the 25. So a return of 5 on the 44-yard punt from Luke Akers. Three and outs to begin this evening here in Seattle. Now Washington, it's their first ever Big Ten conference game, but they have a history with the Big Ten. Hey, they've never lost to 4 Big Ten teams, 3-0 against Northwestern. They are 0-3 all-time against Penn State. Importantly, both UW national championships came after Rose Bowl wins against Big Ten schools, Minnesota, and most recently in 1991 against Michigan.
I remember that 1991 season. It was when I was there at Ohio State. Long
Wasn't
time
that
ago.
long ago. the TVs had color.
You were 4.
Yeah,
Come on.
that's long enough ago. Washington, 3 national titles, 18 Pac-12 championships. They have won their last 15 conference games, dating back to the end of their run in the Pac-12. And in the regular season, they've won 6 of their last 7 against Big Ten opposition. Here's Jonah Coleman, and he'll pick up 3 yards on first down. The tackle by Theron Johnson, redshirt junior, leading the Wildcats in solo tackles this year.
Yeah, an interesting formation there. Had 2 wide receivers very far removed from the core of the offensive line. Then you go with a run on that. You just wonder if that's going to set something up. Very big with Jed Fish and Brennan Carroll, offensive coordinator. Really like to get plays called in groups.
Well, look out here. And this is incomplete. Tipped by Aiden Hubbard and nearly picked. Mac Uline was there.
Yeah, Mac Uline was there, but also had Braden Turner coming in at the same time, and those guys just kind of ran into each other and kept the other from making the interception. Friendly fire, man, gets in the way.
So it's 3rd and 7.
You see that pressure look, but they're dropping out of it.
Yep.
They're making some adjustments there.
Yeah, they're gonna bring it here. Blitz comes, and Rogers completes to Coleman for a first down. So the Huskies had the right play for that moment. And it's Coleman who moves the sticks.
Yeah, a lot of times you get that double A gap look from the linebackers, and they expect that to keep the running back in to block. But Jedd Fisch releases Jonah Coleman to the outside, kind of like a little hot out there, and there's nobody home. Nice gain for the first down.
Came over with Jedd Fisch from Arizona. Coleman finished 2nd in the Pac-12 last year in yards per carry. We'll get a yard and a half here on first down with Coleman once again.
I'll go ahead and get my Ohio State love. Well, Ohio State love never goes away completely, but I'll go ahead and say it. So the running back coach also was at Arizona, Scotty Graham, who I played with at Ohio State and with the Vikings. And I got to tell you, man, Jonah Coleman, I don't think we're going to have any film of Scotty Graham, but Jonah kind of runs like Scotty did. A little bit of bowling ball action. He's got some power. He's got that stiff arm, but also got a little bit of shake, a little bit of wiggle in him.
Rogers to pass to the wide side. Boston, a first down. Out across midfield. Josh Fussell with the tackle.
Yeah, we talked about Denzel Boston, Giles Jackson in the open, and all of the great wide receivers that Washington had. These guys never really had a chance. I mean, Denzel Boston came in to this season with only 7 catches. He had 8 catches just last week. So a lot of talent at that wide receiver position. We'll talk a little bit about the rest of the roster and some of the holes that they had to fill, but plenty of talent in wide receiver.
Play action. Rogers going to take a shot. Down the seam. Boston! Got it! Touchdown, Huskies! So many years backing up some of the greats with this UW program. Boston has his moment, and Washington's on the board.
Yeah, and for the Husky fans, this is almost an exact replay of the touchdown that Giles Jackson had a week ago in the Apple Cup, except this time it's the man Denzel Boston, and what a perfect throw from Will Rogers. You could not have gone out and placed that ball any better. Perfect placement, perfect trajectory.
Now the new staff here in Washington, they were intentional about getting an experienced quarterback to lead this attack, and Will Rogers drops a dime right into the breadbasket of Denzel Boston. 7-0 UW.
Alice in Chains.
3 and out in their first drive, but Washington executing a 6-play, 73-yard drive and a great play to cap it off.
Yeah, Northwestern, they try not to give up the big plays. We're going to see Denzel Boston lined up here on the outside, and they love to have these shell looks, but with the action underneath, the safety gets their eyes taken away, and Theron Johnson just kind of gets turned around, all kinds of space, but I just can't say enough about that throw, and it's almost identical to the one a week ago that resulted in 6 for Giles Jackson. Perfect throw from Will Rogers, taking advantage of that secondary for Northwestern.
Washington, remember, averaged 36 points per game last season. Very much new personnel this year. Here's Joseph Hyman, and they'll return it to about the 24-yard line. 17 yards on the return. Lance Holtzclaw, the special teams tackle, and the Wildcats will have it here.
Similar stories between these two teams. You talk about offseason and all the changes that can happen. There are only 7 O-linemen at the start of spring for Northwestern. They couldn't run 11 on 11, only 17 at the start of camp. They got that number up, but kind of similar to what we had with Washington. And a lot of new faces. Of course, that's a completely new offense, but starting fresh on offensive lines can be difficult.
Caleb Komolafe, redshirt freshman, lines up here. Lausch pumps, looks, And will roll out of the pocket and dive ahead towards the marker. Should be pretty close here. They're going to give him the first down. Lausch, who rushed for 62 yards in the first half last week, averaging about 8.5 yards per carry. He had just 80 rushing yards across 10 games last year. He appeared from time to time as a rushing threat, but we talked about took over the starting job for Northwestern entering last week after Mike Wright started the first 2 games, the transfer from Mississippi State. Former teammate of Will Rogers. There's Komolafe, and he's bottled up after a 1-yard gain. Second down upcoming.
Yeah, with his defensive coordinator, Steve Belichick, he's going to bring a lot of blitzes all day long. We've talked about this. You know, obviously that was a run, but in passing situations, I just don't think he believes that they can get pressure from just a conventional 4-down front or 3-down front. You're going to see a lot of different looks, but that time, nice shot calling that blitz against a run, trying to steal a down and create a second and long.
Lausch to pass on second down. Flushed out and completes along the near sideline to Bryce Kurtz. Not much out of that play, just a 2-yard gain at the end of it, and it's a third down for Northwestern.
Well, we talk about Jack Lausch getting his first start a week ago and how much more comfortable he was in the second half. We'll take a look at some point here. I've seen some open receivers for Jack Lausch, and it's so easy up here to talk about, hey, man, you see it, throw it. But he's not always that comfortable, especially early in these games.
Play clock inside of 5. Lausch drops back. UW rushing 4. Lausch steps up in the pocket. Drifts across. Unable to find a target downfield, and he is wrapped up. Cameron Fabiculanen in the end got to him. Voitunaufi there as well for Washington, and Northwestern will again have to punt.
Well, we know that they have the iPads on the sideline. Take a look. I think he had, again, a couple of opportunities and a little bit of pressure. Obviously, he couldn't just set his feet and throw, but I think he's going to take a look at that one and say, hey, there were some opportunities that I had to get that ball downfield. Again, it's just a comfort thing.
Boston, this is a much better punt this time from Luke Akers. From the 9-yard line, Boston got a great block along the outside. And there is a flag here. Might be related to that.
I don't know. I don't know if it was fair or not. That's a decleater, though. My man got up. He's like, oh, wait a minute. Where's the flag? And they did throw a flag. We'll see if it was a blindside block.
50-yard punt, 10-yard return. And we'll check with Jeff Cervinski, our referee.
It's one of those ones that almost everybody in the stadium can recognize immediately. Like, you see somebody fly like that, pads are popping.
Here's the call.
During the return, personal foul, illegal blindside blocked. Number 22 of the return team. Half the distance to the goal line. First down and 10, Washington. Timeout on the field.
Maybe I should rephrase that. Great quote-unquote block was illegal.
Wasn't you can't. Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, you can't do that anymore. You can't have any fun anymore. But it was good that he got up.
Says you.
Yeah, but Huskies get it when we come back.
Well, Washington has some Big Ten tie-ins, of course, with the Rose Bowl game, national championship ties. Last year, one game away. And Michigan, big win over USC today in a conference game against Southern California. Again, we're wrapping our heads around it just like you are, too.
It's just so wild to think about, man. It's such a big change, obviously, to have all these teams now in the Big Ten. But I think it's exciting. It's exciting to see kind of how all of these things are going to shake out. But Of course, a lot more flying for a lot of teams.
Yeah, just a little bit. We were talking to some of the Northwestern folks, and keep in mind that's a global institution. They have a ton of alumni here in Seattle. Washington, they have alumni all over. You think about how well SC travels, and they're everywhere seemingly. Michigan, it's the Big Ten anymore with all the programs that they have here. There are alumni in every city now. Second down and 7 here for Washington, up 7-0 in their conference opener. You see there David Braun, reigning Big Ten Coach of the Year, 8-5 season for Northwestern last year, off to a 2-1 start. This could be a big play. It's a first down and more for Coleman. 15 yards to move the sticks.
Well, you see why Jonah Coleman's so dangerous. Gets away from the core here. You can watch him move up. Initially, it's going to look like inside zone, but watch all the ground that he covers with that lateral movement and acceleration. And again, at the end, he's always going to finish runs like his running back coach Scotty Graham did back in the day. Always wants to work on those details. That's right, big man. Get up, point. That's first down.
Rogers, the pass, and hits Boston again. And that's been a nice connection. Boston doing a career high 8 receptions for 58 yards last week against Washington State. He's on pace to obliterate that career high.
Boy, you see Evan Smith given all kinds of cushion and just doesn't get out of his break fast enough. 12 versus 12, and we know this Northwestern defense, they really tend to do that. They really don't want to give up big plays, so they give a lot of space out there, a lot of cushion, but you have got to get out of your break faster than that.
There's the first touch of the ball game for Damon Williams Jr. And we'll see this from time to time. In every few drives this season, he's coming to take a few snaps. True freshman from Chandler, Arizona, blue chip prospect. And they just want to get him more involved as the season goes along. Remember, this is the last season for Will Rogers. They're going to need a quarterback of the future, and Williams is that guy.
Yeah, no question about it. And, a lot of people say if you have 2 quarterbacks and you don't have any quarterback, right? But, of course, it's not that kind of situation. Just get defensive coordinators more headaches.
Whoa. A little bungled snap there. Rogers winds up with it in the end and takes off. Rogers slides across the 30-yard line in Northwestern territory. Something out of nothing there.
I wish you had the heart rate monitor on the players for one like this. That ball goes up in the air. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What do I do? What do I do? Okay, don't panic. Protect the football. Take off. Would say it's just like he drew it up, but that's not the way that they drew it up. But a nice job, Will Rogers, getting some good yards and doing the right thing. Getting the slide, not taking the big hit at the end.
A 20-yard gain. They mark him down to the 32. First time we've seen Cam Davis check in at tailback here. Davis gets the call, and a big hole created. A solid run on first down to pick up 4. Xander Mueller, the 5th-year senior, leading tackler for Northwestern each of the last 2 seasons on the stop.
Yeah, he's the guy they call the closer. And defensive coordinator Tim McGarrigle said, Xander's here. He's normally leaving when I'm leaving. Right? Like he has those 13, 14-hour days. Smart guy, too, man. Mechanical engineering.
His brother went to Northwestern a couple of years ago. Former Wildcat linebacker. Play action. Rogers. Oh, tons of room in the middle of the field. Jeremiah Hunter reels it in. And that soft coverage you're talking about for Northwestern, boy, it seems to be biting the Wildcats right now.
Well, they're so concerned about getting beat deep that they're just getting all kinds of depth. Watch the safeties here. Just turn their backs and run, and it's going to leave all kinds of space underneath. And this Husky offense takes advantage of it.
First down for Washington.
Kaleki Latu lined up man-to-man on the right side of the formation.
Davis, inside handoff, and he's across the 10 down to the 7. R.J. Pearson on the tackle.
Something else to note here. Kaleki Latu, of course, 6'7" as a tight end for the Husky offense. And you take a look at this Northwestern defense. Only one player over 6 feet.
Quarter in the books, and the Huskies looking for more in the Pacific Northwest. 7-zip, UW here on FS1. Welcome to the Big Ten for Northwestern and Washington as conference mates.
The Big Ten with 18 teams now.
Don't get me started. Washington with a drive that started at their own 8-yard line. 4 first downs in this drive. A lot of chunk plays. And a 2nd down and 6 here. Line to make is the 1. And it's Coleman searching for running room. And he's tracked down at about the 4-yard line. This will be 3rd down.
Yeah, remember defensive coordinator Tim McGarrigle in our call yesterday. That last play they had Giles Jackson, number 5, lined up in the backfield. We talked about what a deep threat he is. And McGarrigle said, he's the Waldo guy for us. Like, where's Waldo? We got to figure out where he is because he's dangerous now, lined up to the left of the formation here in the slot.
See if they go back to Coleman here.
And he's changing the play. This is something that they wanted out of Will Rogers.
Rogers locates his target, but it's an incomplete pass intended for Giles Jackson. Coco Azuma in coverage, the 6th-year senior, and it's 4th down, and the field goal unit will come on.
Yeah, good job in coverage there. And he comes up and he checks, and my guess, because they had been playing so soft and because of the respect that they have for Giles Jackson and his speed, they expected a quick out route to be successful there, but a nice job in coverage.
Here's Grady Gross, 4 for 4 on field goals last week, a long of 44 against the Cougs in the Apple Cup. Perfect on all kicks this season. And that'll continue. And it's 10-0 Huskies as they march down the field effectively and get points out of it. Oh, what an afternoon here. Washington getting points out of the drive, but a nice stop. And credit where credit's due. It's Devin Turner, 8, not 0 here with the coverage.
Yeah, and we talked about being a little bit off here, but look at the break that he gets on Giles Jackson and on this throw and the breakup. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. Perfect technique. Doesn't interfere at all. Doesn't come through the back. And you know, this is the kind of thing, it's the cat and mouse game that happens, because as soon as those guys start reacting up, and you get the little out and up from the wide receiver. So we'll see if some of those shot plays come off of that later.
Well, for Northwestern, they just need to get something going offensively, get their defense a break. Just 25 yards of offense to begin this game.
Well, you know what it is tomorrow. It's an NFL doubleheader on Fox as Jalen Hurts leads the Eagles against the Saints or other regional action. And in America's Game of the Week, Lamar Jackson and the Ravens take on Dak and the Cowboys. Check for the games in your area only on Fox and the Fox Sports app.
So Northwestern will begin for the 25 after the touchback. Coming off 8 wins last year, the most since 2017. They defeated Utah in the Las Vegas Bowl. Having trouble finishing drives to begin this year. I'd say right now they're having trouble starting. And this is fumbled. Jumped on top of in the backfield. And I think the Wildcats recovered it. Joseph Hyman, hard in throat moment.
You have got to get that pocket nice and big for the quarterback. You know, as I say, it's the quarterback's job to get the ball to you. It's your job to get it. And I don't know if he thought that it was going to be some sort of boot action, but as soon as that ball gets in there into that pocket, it's got to be automatic, man. I think your arms have got to collapse on that ball, and it looked like he just didn't bring them together straight, which caused the ball to fly out.
And you saw that ball security has been an issue for Northwestern to begin this season. Lausch looking for running room as he cuts it back and picks up 2.5 to 3. And it's 3rd down and long. You know, the offense lost 1 fumble, as you saw, all of last year. They have fumbled now 5 times already this season and lost 3. And here it's backed them up to a 3rd and 12.
Yeah, we'll see what kind of pressure look Washington late on the substitution here. And going up, making the change. We got that no defensive lineman pressure look coming.
And it blows up the play. Hyman brought down in the backfield. The tackle for loss. It's Isaiah Ward. And it's a 3-and-out for the Cats.
Well, I know the quarterback has freedom to change that play at the line of scrimmage, but I guess Northwestern here and Jack Lausch, they just decided to wave the white flag and just not try and drive that ball downfield. But at some point, he's got to get that ball moving downfield, but set yourself back with the early fumble, even though you recovered it.
4 drives, 1 first down. Punt off the side of the foot of Luke Akers, and Boston able to stay on his feet into plus territory. 26 yards on the return, and a short field for the Huskies looking to pile on.
It's like the coverage team just kind of lost the punt on this one. You don't get any of those guys going over to that side.
To that warning, Washington football, first down and 10.
So a sideline warning.
Sideline warning. And I guess judging from the shadows, the sun shouldn't have been their eyes. They should have been looking back the other way. I don't know how you don't track the ball better than that. I mean, you get a big. First of all, it was a great bounce too, right? If you're a returner, it's a great bounce for a returner because with the football, you never know how that thing's going to bounce around. But Denzel Boston had a nice clean bounce to get the return.
Just a net of 11 on the punt. He was able to get his momentum going with that bounce, and it translated to a big return. So Rodgers.
Good old-fashioned eye.
Oh, yeah, power eye here. Rodgers drops back to pass, scanning downfield, rolls out to his right, and ducks out of bounds at the 26-yard line. Gain of 5.
Yeah, we talked about the decision for Will Rogers to come here, and after playing in Mississippi State, playing a lot of shotgun, you get under center a lot, and especially when you get looks like that. When you get the good old-fashioned dotted eye and you go hard play action that way, it can bring those defenses up and you get those shot opportunities downfield. But a nice job on the back end that time by Northwestern.
Some of the quarterback here. It's going to be Williams once again. On a 2nd down and 5. He'll hand it off to Coleman. And Coleman sheds a tackle, rounding the corner across the 20-yard line for a first down, all the way down to the 15.
Braden Bruss. Braden Bruss, number 33, is going to get a chance for the tackle, but we talked about the power of Jonah Coleman to break tackles, and if you don't wrap on a guy like that, he's just going to keep moving. No arm tackles, and you got to wrap on a guy like that. Running back coach used to tell us, man, try and tackle you with one arm. You better rip that arm off and beat him with it.
Still it's Coleman. And he gets 2 here on first down. They used to call him Little Jonah at Arizona. He had a teammate in the offensive line also named Jonah. But he's added a ton of bulk on his frame. Bowling ball is a great description. He is the prototype of that.
And they've really done a great job with their strength and conditioning. Programs are just so different. We talked about that with Coach Braun, too, at Northwestern. The way that they get all their meals and the way that they train these guys, it's just amazing the development you can see. Again.
Yep. DeGraff, the tight end, setting an edge. Boston has another touchdown. That's been a terrific combination from the get-go tonight. Rodgers to Boston.
Well, tremendous anticipation on this throw, and we see Boston, see the little shift to the stack, puts a cornerback in a bad position, but I got to tell you, man, number 8, Devin Turner, the safety, you got to try and separate him from that ball. That's got to be one where you make him pay for even thinking about catching that ball. Missed opportunity there.
And Turner made a great play. Goal line situation, limiting the Huskies to a field goal last drive, but after a terrific punt return and a fortunate bounce for Washington.
They were
Bill
caught
Ross.
stealing when they were
This one
five.
for a long while. They're barking in the Pacific Northwest right now.
Jane's addiction.
Coming up on the State Farm halftime, USC opened Big Ten play in the Big House against Michigan. Utah and Oklahoma State in a top 15 Big 12 showdown in Stillwater. And Arch Manning gets his first career start for Texas. Alex and Robin, it's back to you.
Oh my goodness, Emmanuel Acho.
I see you, Arch.
It's hard not to.
Yeah, good point. I didn't know that was a suit. I thought that was like that superimposed first line. First down line.
I've seen the wardrobe department at the Fox Studios in LA. Let me tell you,
See,
I didn't know they had an outfit like that, but boy, Acho can rock
I
that.
was just getting ready to say, like, that's not me.
Right.
That's not me. I can't wear that. Arch can wear that.
That's right.
Arch can get away with anything.
He is, let me tell you, his fashion sense, it's off the charts. That'll be coming up just a bit. Still more than 10 minutes to go in the half, and still Northwestern has not done anything offensively. Just one first down for the Wildcats, and Jack Lausch.
Yeah, and Jack Lausch, he's got to take some chances. I mean, you know, quarterbacks, you don't want those guys to be cocky, right? You don't want them to be cautious or too cautious. You got to find that right space as a quarterback, and I think he's had some opportunities early, but being down 17-0 in this game, it's not going to get much worse, man. You got to pull that trigger at some point and drive that ball downfield.
Zach Lujan, again, they're without Cam Porter. They're without their leading rusher. So that obviously dents things. They've got to start doing something. Maybe here they'll start. Jump ball, incomplete. Intended for A.J. Henning. A flag comes in. A lot of hand fighting.
Yeah, it's
with that ball in the air.
Yeah, this is going to be Jordan Shaw, and he's going to pull on Henning on this one. But this is exactly what we talked about. Lausch has got to take chances, and Henning's
Rolling on the field is an incomplete pass. Pass interference, defense number 3. 15 penalty from the previous spot includes an automatic first down.
And this secondary has had some problems with interference, and you can see him getting the pull on that one. Yeah, that's pretty clear.
And you're right
that yank.
There's less experience deeper in that secondary from the corners and the safeties, more so from that linebacking core. They have some names that have been here and some more experienced players, but there are opportunities to pick on this UW team. So after the penalty yardage from the 40 on first down, Lausch being chased down from behind, completes underneath. Nice job locating his check down and getting a first down out of all that. A.J. Henning bails him out. Jordan Shaw with the pressure.
And this is exactly what this Wildcat offense needed. You're going to see cornerback's going to come free, but Lausch just kind of feels that, right? And even when that defensive back is draped on his back, he's still able to make that throw. And this is where that quarterback starts getting that confidence, man. He's like, I'm in a flow. No matter what happens out here, I'm ready for it. I'm ready to take over this game.
Into UW territory. And a carry on first down for Komolafe, the redshirt freshman. That's a nice run on first down, a gain of about 5 or 6 here. Carson Bruner, who was a game-time decision at linebacker for Washington, banged up last weekend on the play. And this is not good news for an already banged-up Northwestern offensive line. That's Jack Bailey, one of their reserve offensive linemen.
Jack Bailey, that starting center. This
starting
is
center, sorry, you're right.
The third team in 4 years. And he's been with Bill O'Boyle all the way through that. From Kent State to Colorado for a year, and then there. You don't want to see that. And Jackson Carcello taking the snaps, and you know they've had some flexibility, and they talked about Jackson Carcello in particular. You know, he's one of those kind of guys that can play guard, but he can snap the ball, and you certainly need that. And unfortunately, this is a situation why it's so important.
So we'll step aside. 17-0 Northwestern driving. FS1 College Football is sponsored by Hampton by Hilton. Hilton for the stay. Alex Faust, Robert Smith here with you. Union Bay, Lake Washington, to our right on a beautiful evening here in the Pacific Northwest. Fall just around the corner. Northwestern driving here, Big Ten Conference opener for both of these teams. And the first real drive for Northwestern here tonight. So Jack Bailey, their grad transfer at center, comes off the field. Jackson Carcello, as you mentioned, redshirt junior, comes in to take his place on this second down. High snap, handoff, and Komolafe, but a flag. Cameron Fabiculanen, a senior, veteran for UW with a tackle.
Going to be a free first down here. And we talked about all of the penalties a week ago.
Offside. Defense number 11 lined up in the neutral zone. That 5-yard penalty results in a first down.
To that end, UW gifted a couple of them late.
Oh, and you could see that look on Jed Fish's face. And you see Tuputala on the outside there lined up, and sometimes those stand-up edges don't get as good a view of where they are, and that helmet's just a little bit offsides.
They had 2 costly offside penalties in the final series, allowing Washington State to run out the clock last week. Lausch running out of time and can't get away. Boy Tunaufi with his second sack of the season.
Well, we talked about Jack Lausch getting more comfortable, and it looked like he was starting to feel it a little bit, but you have got to anticipate this throw. Thomas Gordon, the tight end, is going to come open wide right there in the middle of the field. You have got to make that throw. I know it looks like a defender might have an opportunity to fall back into that one, but if you anticipate that opening, deliver that ball, that's a completion.
Loss of 7 on the sack, second down. Lausch with some time, steps up in the pocket, takes a hard shot from Alfonso Tuputala, another one of these holdover Husky veterans, the 6th-year senior. 22nd career start here today, and it's third down.
And he makes up for the offsides call earlier in the drive, and this is the kind of thing where Zach Rowan, the offensive coordinator for Northwestern, we've seen earlier, you don't want to get too risky in a situation like this. The defense is calling, watch the screen, watch the draw. You might want to do something a little bit more creative, maybe hit your running back coming out of the backfield, but you don't want to get too risky in a situation like this. You might just want to wave the white flag.
Play clock all the way down, and they didn't get it off.
False start. It's number 72. 5-yard penalty. Still third down.
Whether it's a delay or a flinch, it's still 5 yards, and it's 3rd and 22.
Whew. There aren't many great play calls in the plan for this one. That was big Caleb Tiernan on the left side. Big 6'7" left tackle. Just rocked a little bit. Speaking of rocking, man, this place, woo! A lot of fun. Beautiful venue, but it gets loud.
Lausch looking for it, tipped and incomplete. Intended for Bryce Kurtz. And Kevin Broussard involved in the play.
Yeah, and Alfonso Tuputala, once again, he's going to reach up and get those hands on it. I like this, though. Lausch standing in there confidently. Delivered that ball, but just got tipped on the way back.
So Boston back at the 5-yard line, and Northwestern, what was a promising drive, fizzles out as they cross midfield. Fair catch signal. It'll be Husky ball up 17-zip. Friday night on Fox. These Washington Huskies will be back in action, but after they jet across the country, they'll take on Rutgers next Friday, 8 Eastern on Fox. Part of our Fox College Football Friday slate of games. Got off to a great start last night. How about the drama between Illinois and Nebraska? Huge win for the Illini.
Oh, that was a big one. And of course, we had the win against Kansas a few weeks earlier. But we talk about this Washington schedule at Rutgers. Then they come back here for Michigan. Then at Iowa the following week. So, man, it's a tough schedule. And then you look further down the schedule. You got USC at Penn State. Then they finish up at Oregon. Woo!
Flag here on the snap.
Prior to the ball being snapped, false start. Offense number 74. Half the distance to the goal line, still first down.
That's Drew as a party, San Diego State transfer. So the ball will be at the 3-yard line.
Right, and Jed Fish can just hardly believe it. And I'm sure a lot of Husky fans can hardly believe it. After 12 penalties a week ago to do something like that, those pre-snap penalties are so bad.
Whoa, that's a risky play. Jump throw, back of the end zone. Aiden Hubbard bringing the pressure.
Boy, and Aiden
Did he
Hubbard,
step out of the back here?
take another look. I think he might have gotten rid of that ball. Yeah, he got rid of that ball before. He's fine.
Well, but he's in the pocket, so it's that grounding.
Actually, no, that is going to be
and there was
grounding.
no one in the area.
Wow.
It's intentional grounding.
Safety.
In the end zone, the result is a safety.
There you go.
Wow. See David Braun all fired up on the sideline with that one.
Well, that's one way to get your first points of the night.
One way to do it, and Aiden Hubbard, man, he's got that quick first step out of St. Ignatius up there in Cleveland. And as they said, because he's not outside of the tackle box, getting it past the line of scrimmage doesn't matter. Occurs in the end zone. That's safety.
Well, the penalty didn't help. They were already back there because of the fair catch. But you were talking about how penalties, look at David Braun's fired up. Hadn't had much to be fired up about here tonight. But this Washington team, 135 penalty yards last week. I was trying to dig for this. That's the most for a UW team in at least a quarter century. They've got to clean that up if they're going to want any hope of competing for a Big Ten title. Averaging 96 penalty yards per game coming in. Nearly the most in FBS football. Already 5 penalties today.
Yeah, and in talking to Jed Fish, you know, he talked about the biggest difference between here and when he took over down in Arizona. And he said, really, it's the expectations. And even with having all these new players and having to replace so many from the national championship game, expectations are still a lot higher here at UW.
From the 9-yard line. This is going to be a nice return for Joseph Hyman. Out across the 40. Before he's wrestled out of bounds. Little bit of a late tug there. And a lot of clamoring going on to the Northwestern sideline for a penalty marker. 34 yards on the return. That's exactly what Northwestern could use after getting on the board with that safety.
Get a little physical out of bounds here. No, I think he might have just got tripped up there. You know, those guys, just nice little friendly escorts to the sideline. They take some people out on the sideline and then a little bit of pushing and shoving, and then the referee's like, it's like they're coming out for a fight. You know, the referee just escorting them off of the sideline.
So marked out at the 45-yard line. And here's Lausch. Lausch. Incomplete. Looking for the tight end, Thomas Gordon. That is Dixon on the coverage.
Yeah, well, you just have to know who you're throwing to. Wide receiver may be able to go up and get this ball. Shoulder pads are a little bit different, though. When you're throwing to running backs, you're throwing to tight ends. You certainly don't want to have to get them extending their arms over the head like that. But you like the throw from Lausch, but something they didn't see. They brought pressure off of his left-hand side. Nobody blocked him. Almost got home with the blitz.
Lausch again under duress, dumps it off. Hyman will scamper out of bounds and set up at least a third and manageable here after a gain of 8. Isaiah Ward once again. Between he and Tunaufi and Tupatala, you've got a lot of veteran guys. Ward, an underclassman transferring in from Arizona, but joining was an experienced linebacking and kind of edge group here for this Washington team. 3rd down and 2. And they will be close to a first down here, maybe marked a half-yard short. Komolafe with the carry, and it looks like he's short. Sebastian Valdez, a beast in the backfield for Washington. 3 years at Montana State, transferring in. They are short by at least a half-yard, and it's 4th down and 1.
It's a buckle up your chin strap kind of play. Inside of 4th and 1, saw number 87, Thomas Gordon, the tight end. Number 88, Marshall Lang, 2 tight ends came into the game.
There's the first down they needed. Komolafe punches it forward, moves the sticks. Tunaufi with the tackle. 5 minutes and ticking remaining in this first half. And David Braun's team, which got off to a brutal start with those 3 and outs. Only 25 yards in the first quarter of offense. Still only 45 total on the game. At least they're into plus territory once again.
Got a nice job from that offensive line with Bailey, the starting center, being out. Carcello did a nice job as the anchor up the middle.
Lausch faked the handoff. He'll lower the shoulder and move ahead, maybe get a half-yard. 2nd down.
Yeah, you've got Steve Belichick as your defensive coordinator. That play's not going to work that much. Got a little injury here. It's not another offensive lineman, I hope. It's a tight end.
That is an offensive lineman. That's Josh Thompson, their starting right guard.
Well, you talk about that offensive line, and Josh Thompson had been at that right tackle spot a year ago, kicked into the guard spot. Ben Rather had been at center last year, and he moved out to the right tackle spot, and looks like he's off under his own power, but that shoulder, you can see that thing hanging there.
They're already shorthanded coming in, and Deuce McGuire is ready to assume that role at right guard. Redshirt sophomore from Chicago. This just adds to the misery for a Northwestern team that was already without Cam Porter. Their leading rusher. They have struggled to run the ball here today. It's 20 rushing yards. 2nd down and 9.
Well, we haven't even heard anything from Bryce Kurtz, number 17. He's lined up on the right side of the formation.
Had a drop earlier in the game. Lausch, the pass, crossing pattern, batted down. Jordan Shaw. 3rd down.
Yeah, Shaw had the interference penalty earlier. Nice job in the coverage right here. And watch how he just kind of sits behind the tight end and then just kind of slingshots himself into position with his acceleration to knock that thing away. Kind of bait the quarterback into that throw. So, no, I don't have him covered. Don't have him covered. As soon as you see those arms separate, accelerate in front, knock it away.
Lausch can't get away. Isaiah Ward brings him down.
Well,
4th down.
Caleb Tiernan can only hold up so long, and if you're Jack Lausch, that clock's got to be going off in your head. You can't stand in there forever. You have to understand that you have to escape at some point. And he just made that decision just a little bit too late. And Isaiah Ward, 6'5", 227, out of Ontario, Canada. Also one of those guys you had mentioned came over from Arizona.
Yeah, he and his older brother Anthony both transferred in from U of A. Ward has done a tremendous job here tonight, been a physical presence from the get-go. And now Northwestern 0 for 7 on third down here this evening. Well, we knew that their offense was going to have to punch above its weight a little bit here tonight. Defense has the only points so far, and Will Rogers and this Huskies team in no hurry. And keep in mind, they'll have the ball to begin the second half as well. Just over 3 minutes to go in the first half. Davis, and he's still going. That's a first down. Cam Davis, sixth season in Seattle. Redshirted in 2019, got a bonus year in 2020, missed a season with injury. Still ticking for this Huskies program, coming back from a season-ending injury last year. Patellar tendon injury, suffered in practice. He had a terrific season in 2022, was poised to have a monster year last year before the injury. This play is bottled up in the backfield, and Davis is brought down for a loss. And we'll see if this takes us to the 2-minute timeout. Xander Mueller with the stop.
Yeah, they had Mueller lined all the way up on the outside on that play, able to make that stop. But back to Cam Davis, man, you know, you come back off of those injuries and just have so much gratitude to be back on the field and really want to make the most of the opportunities, and see a nice physical run from Cam Davis on that previous play.
He had 13 rushing touchdowns 2 years ago. Top 10 program history for a single season. All Huskies in the first half as we hit the 2-minute timeout in Seattle. First meeting in 40 years between Washington and Northwestern. I do have some good news, at least for Wildcat fans, as we take you back to 1984. Denny Green, Don James on the sidelines. Look at those big shoulder pads. The Huskies won 26-0. So Northwestern does have more points today than they did then. But
and Denny Green would become my coach and was my coach all 8 years up there in Minnesota. And you know, got big shoulder pads, and the turf's a little bit different, right? You go down on this sport turf. It's as soft as can be, and of course turf back in that day was like playing at your local putt-putt course.
It's almost like playing on concrete.
Oh, there's no question, but hey, it was a consistent surface.
Yeah.
If you're a player that relied on speed like yours truly, you loved it.
And this pass is complete underneath to the tight end, Latu. Braden Turner brings him down inside of 2 minutes to play in the first half. All Huskies playing their first Big Ten Conference game, looking for their 16th consecutive conference win, going back to their Pac-12 days. And they also carry a 16-game home winning streak into today. Another completion, another first down. It's Giles Jackson across the 45. Xander Mueller with the tackle, 90 seconds and ticking.
Yeah, nothing fancy. The exact same location Giles was there that Latu caught that last pass. Just nice soft zone, hit him in the hook.
Davis, physical tackle as he's brought down by Mac Uline, the Mac linebacker. And timeout is called by Washington with 1:16 to play in the half. Mentioned the 16-game home winning streak for UW. That's the second longest streak of its kind in the nation, behind only Georgia. Last week against Washington State was a neutral site at Lumen Field in Seattle. They will bounce back and forth once again starting next year for the Apple Cup between Seattle and Pullman. Got to go back to 2021, the last time that Washington lost to a Big Ten team. It was UW's final season under Jimmy Lake. September 2021, lost to Michigan. 16 straight home victories.
Yeah, and of course, talking to Jed Fish and talk about, Yeah, it's just such a different era, right? I mean, NIL and the portal and what it's going to take. And, the bottom line is, you're either going to be spending, on players and on facilities, or you're going to be spending on a new coach in a few years. I mean, very fatalistic about it.
I should say that last regular season loss to a Big Ten team was to Michigan. Davis unable to reel this in. Pass incomplete. 3rd down.
It's almost like that throw that caused the safety right there. Just kind of the little jump pass, just not able to get enough on it. And that's something that if you're watching this Washington offense from Will Rogers, and those little nuances of the position and of the offense, quite frankly, understanding what protection you're in, where that protection can be stressed, and what you need to do with the football as soon as one of those defenders you can't block shows up.
Flag on the play here. This pass is tipped and incomplete. Nice coverage by Josh Vassell on the far side of the field. The flag thrown on the near side, near midfield, and we'll check the penalty mark.
Illegal shift. Offense, that penalty is declined. It is 4th down.
So the Huskies here, after taking that timeout and after 2 incomplete passes, will give the ball back to Northwestern. 1:04 left in the half, and the Wildcats with all 3 timeouts.
And they've got 5 penalties on the day, and that one was turned down right there. That's would have been their 6th penalty of the day, which is exactly what they had in the first half a week ago in the Apple Cup, and ended up following that in the second half with another 6. They ended up with 12 in the game. So there's one thing you want to nitpick. You're a Husky fan. They know that they got to clean those things up.
This week, at least, their offense seems to be in more of a rhythm. Line drive punt, A.J. Henning on the 15, and he's chased out of bounds just shy of the 30-yard line. So 54 seconds and 3 timeouts here for Northwestern.
And of course, if you're Northwestern, you made that change at quarterback for a reason. Jack Lausch was a guy that you felt could drive the ball downfield more consistently. And at 17-2 in a situation like this, I say you got to try and open it up. Now you're going to need to protect, and I know that you get some exotic looks from this Steve Belichick defense, but you got to start driving the ball downfield. And here you are, starting off in empty.
Lausch completes underneath, and that'll be a 1st down for Northwestern, stopping the clock briefly as Henning moves the chains. Ball ready for play. Wildcats at the 44. Lausch rolls to his left and throws it away. Isaiah Ward, we've called his name quite a bit again with a quarterback hurry.
And Tunuufi also applied some pressure. It's easy for me to say. Applied some pressure from the inside there, and because of that quick win in the middle of that defense, forced Lausch to escape to his left, which of course for a right-handed quarterback makes for much more difficult to throw.
Lausch pocket collapsing, steps up, throws, it is caught into Washington territory by Henning with a half-minute remaining in the half. 14-yard game. Again, Northwestern still with all 3 timeouts, and they will call one of them here.
Wow, what a great catch. And Cameron Fabiculanen in the coverage, really all over his back. Nice job from Lausch, though, escaping the pressure. Knows he's going to take one in the chops.
And it was his accuracy, right? His ability to make those throws. That's part of the reason why he was put into that starting role over Mike Wright. He delivered it on time there.
Yeah, and remember, had a slow start a week ago against Eastern Illinois in that first half, and then in that second half really started to light things up. Was 11 for 11 at one point in that second half. So remember, just his second start. And we talk about quarterbacks all the time, and it's so easy for us to stand up here and say what they should be doing when they're in these big pressure cookers on the road situations like this. Like, hey, that's why you got the job, right? You're supposed to do it. But sometimes, I mean, these guys are young. You know, it's not like he's been around that long, just a sophomore, 19, 20 years old. Takes a little bit of time to get comfortable.
Northwestern needs points. Washington, remember, will get the ball to begin the second half.
Kurtz has got all kinds of space on the left side of the formation.
Can Lausch find him? This pass is picked. Receiver stumbled, and Carson Bruner comes away with it. One of the Husky captains in his final season of eligibility. Carson Bruner comes away with the interception.
Yeah, and Bruner's got his eyes on Lausch the whole time, and you know, he takes that look back too, and he can see A.J. Henning coming on that route. That's really just understanding the way that concepts unfold. Nice job by Bruner. His father, Mark, longtime tight end in the NFL. He's about 5 months younger than I am. His father, of course, not Carson.
Carson was banged up last week, was considered a game time decision, but one of these Husky holdovers bringing some experience from last year's team that came within one game of a national championship. Have a timeout here as they get a first down from Jeremiah Hunter. Washington will call it. They're looking to stomp on the accelerator here. They don't want to leave any doubt right now.
No, and we talk about what situations are most important for quarterbacks. You know, you talk about third downs, you talk about red zone, and you talk about end of half, end of game. So you want to make sure that they get those operations down. And for as many reps as you get in practice, there's just nothing like live reps in a game to pick those things up.
I do think, too, that this Huskies team felt they had something to prove after they were kind of stuck in neutral a good chunk of that Apple Cup game, especially the first half. Figured it out as the game went along, but so much attention on that essentially game-ending play that blew up for them. They wanted to show coming into conference play that that was an aberration.
Yeah, and the way that Chet Fish described it, he said, you know, it seemed like guys were just like waiting for something to happen. Sometimes you got to go out and make them happen.
They've made it happen in the first half here. Complete underneath to the tight end, Latu. Devin Turner, the tackle, and that will take us to the end of the first half, or will it? We got a timeout here with 2 seconds left.
Try the kick.
Yeah, might as well. You're in field goal range here. I thought for a second they were going to let this clock tick down, but yeah, they are well within field goal range for Grady Gross. Junior from Scottsdale, Arizona. Gross, who hit from 21 after the Wildcats came up with what seemed like an important stop at the time. Washington with an extended drive downfield. This from 51, which would be a career long. And Northwestern will try to ice it.
Oh, he got the free kick too, and he made that one. So look at Coach Braun. He's like, wait a minute, he kicked it.
Yeah, but what difference does these guys are still allowed to do whatever you want in a timeout, right?
So gave him a free practice rep there. He's Coach Braun there, like, yeah. Sometimes it's better to, you know how kickers are, man.
Yeah.
Like, one of the funniest things.
And Gross, did you see him sprint all the way back to the sideline to get the ball on the tee, get another couple of reps?
Oh, yeah.
Look at this.
Oh, yeah, that's hilarious. You know, Coach Wanstead said, hey, I had 2 get-back guys. I had a guy that was your general, you know, hey, coach, get back from the field. And he had another get-back guy to keep him away from the kickers. You know, they can be just a little bit different mentally. Sometimes it's better not to actually ice them, just make them think that you're going to call timeout.
And again from 51. Has the distance.
Pulled it.
But he just just pulled it to the left.
There you go.
All right, well.
Coach Braun's like, yeah, see, I made you do that. Call a timeout. You took practice. You couldn't make the live one.
I'm sure that's exactly what he said. On that note, we'll send you to Los Angeles. State Farm halftime show. Here's Emmanuel Acho and Chris Peterson. That's been all Washington so far. Today's team comparison sponsored by T-Mobile, America's largest 5G network. Just 11 rushing yards for Northwestern as we welcome you upstairs here in the booth at Husky Stadium. Beautiful night. Beautiful start for this Washington defense. They really contained an undermanned Northwestern unit.
Yeah, they certainly did. And you're Steve Belichick, the defensive coordinator. You're not satisfied, right? I mean, I know he's in there telling his guys, I don't care what you did in the first half. You got to go do that same thing in the second half. But unfortunately for Northwestern, having the injury to the starting center, Jack Bailey and Jack Lausch, who just didn't take advantage of some of the opportunities he had earlier in the game, then had some mistakes and sacks. But, you know, the thing that you say, if you're David Braun and you're Zach Lujan, the offensive coordinator for Northwestern, you're saying, you know what? It's a whole new half. We're only down 17-2 in this ball game, and it looked a lot worse than that in the first half. Let's do what we did against a much weaker opponent a week ago in Eastern Illinois and play much more efficiently in the second half.
It is Washington ball to begin the second half. Playing their first ever Big Ten conference game. Short kickoff. It'll be fair caught at the 8-yard line by Keith Reynolds. And so Will Rogers, who he and Denzel Boston formed quite the connection in that first half. Boston with a pair of touchdowns, 4 catches for 88 yards, and you see Rogers with 158 total yards from the air, 11 of 16 here tonight. And I would venture to say no mistakes. Maybe that jump throw would be the only one, the intentional grounding leading to the safety. And he was backed up close to his own goal line to begin with.
Yeah, and you know, in listening to Will Rogers from early in camp, for him, it's really about being a leader. And being a leader in a situation like this, don't relax.
Coleman. That's a solid start to the second half. Gain of 4. And Mueller with the tackle. Xander Mueller, you talk about a mechanical engineering student, only the 3rd Big Ten player with 100+ tackles, 5+ sacks, and 3+ interceptions in a single season in the last quarter century in the Big Ten. We need more of that. Second down, Coleman again. And Coleman will establish a 3rd and manageable here. Najee Story with the stop that time.
Like, you still see those Northwestern defensive players, and you talked about Xander Mueller, and remember defensive coordinator Tim McGargicle. I mean, he's a guy that 2nd in career tackles, 545 career tackles. You know, there's going to be no quit in those guys. Did an excellent job up front on that last play, winning up front. Problem is that there's some mismatches in that secondary. We'll see if Washington can take advantage of it.
Rogers going to pass, airs it out to the sideline, and incomplete. Jalen Pate got to the quarterback and hurried that throw. And as a result, Washington's going to punt.
And Theron Johnson in coverage that time on Giles Jackson. Again, Tim McGargicle, the defensive coordinator, said he's the Waldo, so we're going to know where Giles is on every play. Theron Johnson did an excellent job using the sideline as an extra defender, pushing Giles to the outside, not giving Will Rogers an opportunity to make the completion.
A.J. Henning at his own 22 will fair catch this at the 30-yard line. 38-yard punt sets up a short-ish field for the Wildcats here, who mustered only 63 yards of total offense in that first half. That is just not good enough.
Well, it's not good enough, and I think there were some missed opportunities you talked about when we came out of half. I mean, I think Jack Lausch had some opportunities to drive the ball downfield, and I think much like we saw a week ago against Eastern Illinois, I know it's a weaker opponent, but he got much more comfortable. So you get an opportunity to get with your coach, get with Zach Lujan, the offensive coordinator. This is what I want to try, but he's got to pull the trigger. He's the one that's got to make those throws.
They've been able to get to the quarterback here tonight. Handoff on first down. Hyman goes nowhere. No gain on the play. Northwestern had allowed one total sack all year. Now, granted, some of the competition between Miami, Ohio out of the MAC and Eastern Illinois. They haven't faced a team nearly as big as this Washington team. Still 2 sacks allowed. And Lausch has been under duress a good chunk of the night.
Yeah, no question about it. Again, got to start driving the ball down the field. I think Washington's winning up front. When we talk about the changes that have occurred on that offensive line with the injury to Bailey.
Yeah, and we heard that Bailey questionable to return. And I would venture to say after what we saw, I don't know if we'll see him the rest of the day. Here is Lausch. Trying to cut it back. Search for some running room. Only gains 1, and it's 3rd down.
Boy, sloppy play right there. This one looked good in the walkthrough, but it didn't quite work the same way when they got onto the field. He was supposed to have a fake. Looked like he ran right into Hyman. And then when that happens, I think sometimes, especially quarterbacks who aren't necessarily as used to running the ball, even though Lausch is a good runner, just panicked a little.
Husky Stadium shaking with noise again on 3rd down. Lausch slips by a tackle, keeps the drive alive. A first down for Northwestern, which they needed in the worst way. Fabiculanen makes the tackle in the end.
Yeah, watch the left tackle, Cooper Lovelace, is going to get the lead block here on Tubutala. Allows Lausch to get upfield. With Steve Belichick as defensive coordinator, you get so many different looks. You get 3-man fronts, 4-man fronts. You don't know where that extra pressure is going to come. That time didn't account for the legs of Lausch.
Let's talk about Belichick, Carroll. It's a coaching staff full of NFL coaching lineage. And they firmly believe that having that kind of exposure will be a big help rebuilding this Washington program.
Yeah, having that kind of exposure, and of course Scotty Graham, the running back coach who I played with the Vikings and at Ohio State, you have a lot of NFL experience, and when you're trying to get players to make that change, and so many times talk about players coming out of the portal, they do want to work on getting some of those players out of high school, but that can be the difference. You know, you've got guys with the NFL experience that can prepare you for that next level. It's all some players want.
On 2nd down, Lausch to pass. Throwing as he's hit, and it falls incomplete. Again, they're getting to the quarterback. Carson Bruner brought it this time.
Well, you watch Komolafe try and block here, and you see him, he ducks that head. You got to take that block on if you're a running back. Carson Bruner does a nice job getting home, but you know you're too close to the quarterback to try and cut there, because if you cut him, he can still get to the quarterback. You just got to bow up.
Belichick, defensive coordinator, looking on. What's been a really stout performance by this Huskies defense. 3rd down. Pressure comes. Pass incomplete. At least they bought Lausch enough time in that instance. But C.J. Johnson unable to reel in the pass, and it's 4th down.
Yeah, and that's on Lausch right there. He had the time, good protection in the pocket. They picked up, nice little loop stunt, gave him opportunity to make that throw, and he just didn't make the throw that he needed to make. Just one-hopped it to Johnson.
And the 7th punt of the night for Northwestern. A lot of work for Luke Akers. And a fair catch for Boston at the 16-yard line. All power. Analysis, chemistry, ridiculousness. Oh, it's all part of First Things First. Nick Wright, Chris Broussard, Evan Wildis serve up a fresh daily dose of unscripted and unfiltered sports talk. Weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern on FS1. You know, it's funny, Robert, we've been, kind of looking at this from the lens of Washington has held Northwestern completely in check, 17-2. And then you take a second look at it, well, this is still a 2-score game.
Absolutely.
If Northwestern could come away with any kind of play here on defense, maybe a sudden change of some kind, you're talking about a different ball game.
Absolutely. Take those chances, generate turnovers.
Rogers pumps, hits his check down to Coleman, who slips by a tackle. And be close to the marker, a little short, about a yard.
Yeah, and Will Rogers, I mean, he understands the situation. He had an opportunity to drive the ball downfield to Jeremiah Hunter on that one, but just thought it was a little bit tight. Go to your check down.
Yeah, that's a good description of the running from Jonah Coleman. Sean McLaughlin brings him down. Another first down for Washington.
Boy,
Huskies now with 13 of them.
And I know that Scotty Graham's teaching him the right way. You know, you have to hug those blocks, and he just stays so low, runs behind his pads, finishes well. He does it all the details. He's got that power and that low center of gravity. It's a nightmare for some of those DBs.
Whoa! Fumble! Recovered by Northwestern. Washington broke the huddle quickly, trying to catch the Wildcats off guard, and a bungled snap. Xander Mueller on the recovery, and just like that, the Wildcats have a takeaway.
Boy, you called it, partner, and some issues on some shotgun snaps a week ago, and that time it's difficult, didn't quite get a look under there, but Rogers just couldn't get that one cleanly, and then one of the linemen kicks it, and we just talked about it. They're up 17-2, but this game is far from over. An opportunity here for the Wildcats with good field position to cut that lead.
Nearly as many first downs as they have punts. Hey, Northwestern was third in the nation last year in turnover margin. Washington commits just their second turnover of the season. And the Cats are set up inside the UW 35. Some running room for A.J. Henning. He hasn't been utilized much in that role here tonight. We thought he was going to get a few more touches in the backfield because he can certainly excel at both. Honorable mention all Big Ten last year.
Yeah, and watch, it's going to be 6-on-6 crime here. Joseph Hyman's going to be getting in a nice block on Brian Parham, the defender. You'd love to see that. And you get a running back like that. He's not the biggest guy in the world, and Joseph Hyman, but physical enough to execute on that block.
Flushed down, nearly hit his target, but it falls incomplete. C.J. Johnson and the Huskies with Thaddeus Dixon force the incompletion. It's third down.
Well, this one, Steve Belichick dials up the blitz. He shows the blitz and he brings the blitz. The problem is, this is just everybody running into everybody else. Watch them all fall here. Jack Lausch able to escape and almost gets the completion to Johnson.
That's another one that could have been caught.
Well, it's third down, but you know that this is four down territory, down 17-2.
Fake the handoff. Lausch scampers ahead on a design run. That's a first down for Northwestern.
We've seen this inverted veer type run. This is something that Gus Malzahn ran years ago. See fake to the running back going to the outside. A.J. Henning in this case, and A little duck job by Jack Lausch.
First time Northwestern has been in the red zone tonight.
Didn't quite finish it like Cam Newton did back in the day.
Tough to do that. Handoff and turning upfield. It's Hyman still on his feet. Hyman looking for the corner, forced out inside the 5.
Boy, you love to see this. If you're a Wildcat fan, you watch Hyman. He's going to start to the left, but he's going to see that separation. This is what happens when the defense isn't on the same level, and just get a hat on a hat and an opportunity to cut this one all the way back. That's what a speedy, dangerous back like Hyman can do.
15 yards. That is the largest play of the night for Northwestern.
Coach Johnson isolated to the right side of the formation, pinning in that slot.
On 1st and goal, Lausch, shovel to the 2. Thomas Gordon trying to lean in and get an extra yard. It'll be 2nd and goal.
We've seen the Chiefs run that play quite a bit. That little shovel pass to the tight end. Little Travis Kelce going up the middle. Same number.
Yep. 6th-year senior Thomas Gordon. This is where they miss Cam Porter. Unavailable today, their top running back. Lausch pulls it back to the corner, lunging for the pylon. He will not get there.
Boy, Alfonso Tuputala combines with Ephesians Prysock here to keep Lausch out of the end zone. Just that last effort at the goal line. Tremendous job keeping him out.
3rd and goal. Freshman Caleb Komalafe checks in the backfield.
Play action. Let him get outside.
They're going to give it to the freshman, and he can't get to the outside. And it's 4th down, and what will Northwestern do here?
I don't think there's any question. You go for it. Oh, well, that's why I'm up here talking about the game, not down there coaching it.
You know what, though? I agree with you. I don't like this. If you're going to try to get back into this game, you need 6.
Yes, and you've seen this Washington team already struggle in one of those situations where they were coming out and had the safety. Give your team some confidence. Keep the offense out there.
This won't even make it a 1-possession game. That's the difference here. The field goal is good. But to only get 3 out of that feels like a hollow victory. 17-5. FS1 College Football is sponsored by Hampton by Hilton. Hilton for the stay. Alex Faustin and Robert Smith here with you in Seattle. Pike Place Market, always a must-do.
Fish heads, roly-poly fish heads. They didn't show the gum wall there. Have you ever been to the
Yeah, I have, yeah. It's, there are a lot of interesting offbeat tourist activities you could do in this town. I mean, never mind just the beautiful splendor and all the hiking and everything available in the region.
Pacific North. I mean, it's just gorgeous up here as you go in further to Lake Chelan. Gorgeous in there, and go up north just a little bit. Vancouver. I think it might be the most beautiful city I've ever seen.
You're preaching to the choir on that one. So after the field goal, still a 2-score game, 17-5. Keith Reynolds from inside the 5, and Reynolds out across the 20 on the return. Give him 21 yards on the return with 5 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter, and Washington up by 12. We were still discussing during the commercial break for Northwestern. Yeah, okay, cutting the lead from 15 to 12. It just doesn't do enough when you haven't been able to stop, for the most part, this Washington attack, or do much on the offensive side. You had a chance at the 1-yard line.
Yeah, and I think, again, about the psychology of it as much as anything. You come on the road and, you know, what kind of message are you sending your team?
Worst case, Washington would have had to start at their own 1-yard.
Yep.
Will Rogers able to escape the rush and motor to the outside. Well, that's a dangerous tackle along the sideline. No penalty marker. And he comes up hobbling just a bit. Mueller was bringing the heat. Rogers was able to get away and paid the price out of bounds.
Yeah, and Rogers, you watch this spin move that he's going to make away from Xander Mueller. Nice job here escaping, but R.J. Pearson, number 94, is going to come in on the tackle. Rogers is going to the sideline, takes a shot. I don't know if that right knee was still on the ground when he hit that knee, but he's out of the game right now.
Yeah, Damon Williams comes back in, and again, this is scripted. You can see that Rogers is in some distress on the UW sideline.
Boy, that's the problem. If that foot was planted as he got hit, I mean, that's, you know, you can do some real damage. You can see him reaching down to the lower leg.
So we're going to keep Williams in for another play here after they handed the ball off to Adam Mohammed.
Yeah, I hate to speculate, but you see Will Rogers on the sideline with the movements that he's making, that body language. I don't know that he's ready to come back in anytime soon.
On the slant, quick completion of Boston. How good has he been tonight? Evan Smith, one of the corners, makes the tackle, but another first down for the Huskies.
Boy, and I like Damon Williams here with the anticipation and the accuracy on the throw right there. He hits Denzel Boston in stride. Allows him to get a little bit of run after catch.
And even in the frenzied environment at Lumen Field last week, Williams still completed 3 out of 4. Again, they were all short completions, just 12 yards. Boston, 5 targets, 5 catches, 100 yards. Those 2 touchdowns highlighting the day, and you can add to the total here, and you can move the sticks once again.
Well, it's nice, nothing fancy. We talk about this Wildcat defense playing that off coverage. You're going to give them that kind of cushion. Denzel Boston, the throw from Damon Williams, make them pay every time.
Sophomore from South Hill, Washington, Emerald Ridge High School. Empty set here on first down, and it's still Williams at quarterback. Williams will tuck and run, and Williams surges ahead, tackled at the 40-yard line by Mueller. Gain of 5.
He's got some quicks. I hate to see that look in his face. Doesn't look like a guy that's getting ready to go back out there.
He's got the helmet on still.
Yeah, but it just I've seen it, man. Just that look in his face, and you know, his body language, not putting any weight on that right leg. I can see from up here.
Once again, it's Mohammed, and a second level that he reaches. True freshman from Glendale, Arizona. And another first down for the Huskies.
Well, you like this. Changing things up. Good tempo. The team has responded to Damon Williams being in there.
2 true freshmen on this drive, too. And you talk about having to build from within. I mean, so much is made about being able to poach guys out of the transfer portal, but this coaching staff, they have made, you know, so much noise with their tenure at Arizona with being able to build that program from within. Before coming here to Washington, Williams scrambling and can't get away from Mueller, brought down for a loss. Second down.
A nice job on the pursuit there by Xander Mueller. A little bit of hip drop action on that one.
Here comes Rogers back in. We'll see how he's moving.
And go with that I formation. Decker DeGraff, tight end in that I formation, lined up as a fullback. He's moving pretty good.
Rogers completes underneath to Coleman. Coleman hurdling a would-be tackler inside the 20, and a spectacular move from Jonah Coleman. Airborne to get the first down. Gain of 16.
Boy, lots of ways to make guys miss. You can run through them, around them, jump over them. Love seeing that. Get your quarterback into the game. Do something a little exciting.
That'll take us to the end of the third quarter as the Huskies reach the red zone. Huskies offense has been clicking from the word go here tonight. Over 300 yards of offense. Knocking on the door for another score, up by 12 at home in Seattle.
My party's on Broadway. My party's on Broadway.
Now Washington knocking on the door here in the red zone once again. Smothering performance in this conference opener. Their first ever Big Ten game. Looking to win their 17th straight home game here at Husky Stadium. Will Rogers back in. Hand off Coleman. And Coleman wrapped up at the point of attack. Gain of 1. Michael Kilbane on the tackle for Northwestern. Second down.
Boy, Kilbane's one of those guys on the defensive side that Coach Braun said had benefited from those double huddles that they were doing, basically splitting the team in half, giving guys extra reps, and that's one of the ways that you prepare more players, especially with the portal the way that it is.
10th play of the drive here. Play action. Rogers to pass. Hits his target. It's Hunter right at the stick. Forced out by Coco Azuma. It should be noted that Northwestern secondary did take a big hit for the transfer portal.
Yeah, I love how you say forced out. That's definitely forced out. Coco Azuma put that hat on him right there, but Hunter did a nice job.
Rogers handoff to the goal line. Touchdown Huskies. Jonah Coleman.
This is where we used to make the Peter Griffin sound in the locker room when we were watching running back film go, hey, 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 making those quick cuts. Those are the sounds that you make when you're making those quick cuts when you're on the field. Jeremiah Coleman, he's got all kinds of power, but he's got that lateral movement as well. And that little water bug action, getting it into the end zone. Boy, it's so great seeing Will Rogers back out there, though. With that look that he had on the sideline and his body language, he just looked like, I can't believe that I'm not in there and I'm hurt. It's cool to see him finish.
Let's take a look at this just to see if Coleman's knee was down before the ball crossed the goal line.
Well, the fans here at Husky Stadium don't think his knee was down, but we know what they're going to think. Take another look at it. It looks like he kept that right knee off of the ground, but that right elbow, the right elbow hits, but we got to see where the location is. So anything but a hand or foot will put you down. Wrist part of the hand, but the elbow not part of your hand.
Big Ten utilizing collaborative review as well, so if need be, you can get help. Ruled a touchdown on the field. 11 plays, 77 yards on the drive, chewing up 5:58 of clock. I'm starting to say for Northwestern, here you go, quick
After
review.
further review, the ruling on the field stands as called. Touchdown Washington.
Probably the fair result there. Starting to say for Northwestern, I mean, secondary took a big hit from the portal. They've had to rebuild parts and pieces of this defense. A couple of cornerbacks left. And they've been banged up coming in. They're without Carmine Bastone, defensive tackle, Jason Reynolds, and linebacker. And they've been overwhelmed at times tonight. Extra point is good.
Woo! Allison Chains, baby! I feel I'm like them bones!
Well, Northwestern making its visit to the Northwest, and these Washington people, they're so rude. Ripping up that little Wildcat plush. What a rude way to welcome your conference neighbors in your first. And look at how rude the score is. Look, you're running up the score. Anyway, 24-5, Washington after that long drive. They're having fun at Husky Stadium, even if the conference logos are a little bit odd to see here on the field. Oh, here's a big one. Hyman, he's going to take this all the way if he can get by the last man.
Oh!
Tackled at the 1. Joseph Hyman nearly took it the distance. 96 yards on the return. They've been waiting all night for this.
Boy, he's following his blocks very well, getting right up the middle, and then he turns on the speed up the side, but Elijah Jackson isn't giving up. You ain't getting 6, you're down at the 1. Okay, nice return.
Now can they punch it in? The ball marked at the 2-yard line. Northwestern had first and goal, got all the way to the 1. Their last series. Lausch with Komolafe in the backfield with him. Lausch to pass, scanning, throwing, incomplete. Flag comes in. There was some tussling going on, it appeared, between Thaddeus Dixon and Bryce Kurtz away from the ball.
Yeah, it looked like that play. I saw Dixon clapping after this one, but it looked like he was the one tangled up with Bryce Kurtz.
Prior to the pass being thrown. Holding defense number 9. Half the distance to the goal line. The penalty includes an automatic first down.
Yeah, and it was Dixon. He had all kinds of fighting. That route took a long time to develop. They were bringing him back inside on a slant, trying to get him back out to the corner. Watch the legs of Lausch here.
Lausch flushed out. He'll throw, juggled, and incomplete. He had Marshall Lang just tucked inside the goal line, but he couldn't hang on, and it's second down.
Yeah, it looked like Marshall Lang double clutched that one just as he was going out of bounds. It was a nice throw, though, by Jack Lausch. You got to throw it low, front of the goal line, high at the back of the goal line.
I'm with you. I want to see him try to run this ball at some point.
Well, think about going for the field goal earlier. You know you got to go for 6 here.
He'll hand it off, and they won't get it. Komolafe stopped at the 1, and it's third down. Sebastian Valdez on the defensive line, the Montana State transfer. 2-time All-Big Sky selection on the stop. And for David Braun, this nightmare of not being able to punch the ball in continues.
Yeah, and Zach Lujan, the offensive coordinator. We've said it the last couple of times. Jack Lausch has the legs. Let's see him use it. I know it's tough to get him rolling out to his left for a right-handed quarterback, but maybe get him on the edge.
Lausch will pass. He'll throw. It is dropped. Vision's Prysock was there, but that's another one that could have been caught. Bryce Kurtz had it in his grasp.
Oh, that's one that just kind of goes right through the hands. You see, cradles the hands close to the body here, and this is exactly where Lausch needed to put it. No doubt about this one going on 4th down. Oh, that's so good. This place gets so loud. They're going to try. Oh, they're going to try an inside zone here. Spread them out and run inside. Maybe not.
Lausch drops back, and it's incomplete. Huskies come up with a goal line stand. from the UW-D here tonight. MS1 College Football sponsored by Hampton by Hilton. Hilton for the stay. Well, Northwestern is getting a rude reintroduction to the Pacific Northwest, a goal line stand for the Huskies.
Yeah, not a terrible call here. A.J. Henning is going to come in motion, and they're going to try and get him across the formation. And, you know, this is the thing that Jed Fish talked about, going with NFL defensive coordinators. And, of course, Steve Belichick last 12 years in New England with his father, and you get more of a match type of coverage, which is kind of looks like a combination of man and zone. And what you try and do with man-to-man coverage is you try and get crossing routes so that somebody has to chase. But when you have a match coverage like that, if somebody breaks to the inside, they pass that route off, and so the cornerback is sitting there waiting to break up that pass.
Try to get a little more room for their own end zone. The handoff to Coleman. Xander Mueller with the tackle. Second down here. And Northwestern has had the ball at the 1 yard line twice and come away with 3 total points.
Yeah, and because of that penalty there, 5 shots at it, only 1 run. But hey, I'm up here, right? I'm not a coach. They know their personnel better than we do, and of course, you know, we know about the injury with Jack Bailey. Not making excuses, but they called what they thought would work.
Coleman looking for another hurdle this time. Got upended.
Man.
Mac Uline nearly became another poster.
Yeah, Coco Ozma out here said, you can go to the well once, but this next time, I'm staying up on you. Going to make you pay. You lose all your power when you're off the ground like that, and Uline getting in on that one as well. I've seen some of the guys. There was one a couple weeks ago where somebody took off like that, and somebody just caught them clean. That's one where you get smacked on the ground and get the breath knocked out of you.
This ball is batted down, intended for Boston. No flags. A 3-and-out by the Huskies. Josh Vassell, the redshirt freshman corner, in coverage on Boston.
Nice coverage that time by Vassell. Kind of ran the route for him. Able to knock that thing away, but a nice job not interfering. Now you would expect that the Wildcats can get some good field position. Henning back.
They just have not been able to do much, even when they've had the sudden change, the fumble. Only coming away with the field goal. Whoa, that barely got off. Picked up at the 43-yard line, and no return. Henning cut down right away by Ephesians Prysock. Flag here late, and this is all the way back to the 18-yard line.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 84 of the return team. 15-yard penalty being forced from the end of the kick. Immediate timeout.
Well, it's one of those nights, huh? If you're a Northwestern fan. 24-5 in the fourth. Friday night on Fox. Washington will, they'll head down south to SeaTac and take off for the tri-state area. Coast-to-coast Big Ten face-off. Washington visits Rutgers Friday, 8 Eastern on Fox.
Racking up those frequent flyer miles going to Piscataway.
Yeah, and a lot of new guys who will have to become acclimated to the cross-country travel right away. 59 new players in all. 38 of them made their Huskies debut in the first 2 weeks of the season. We talked about only 2 regular starters remaining from last year, as this pass is incomplete. But when you're on a team, and I think something that may be a little bit overlooked with that Washington team last year, they held on to a lot of older players, not only because of the COVID bonus year, but NIL allowed them to keep guys like Michael Penix a little bit longer than you may have in the past. And so you had all these upperclassmen, in addition to guys that may have gone elsewhere, who left the program at once.
Yeah, and when that happens, it can be a dramatic change from one year to the next. And just so crazy now with the portal, NIL. We'll talk more about some of the impact.
Whoa! Yeah, we saw the same thing.
Jordan Shaw.
Yeah.
Jordan Shaw saw it too. He's like, man, I know I saw this on film earlier in the week. And this is expecting this, right? And just, when they're in certain situations, you see certain formations like that, and that's just reacting, right? But that's also some of the coverage call. Steve Belichick, the defensive coordinator, says, I'm going to put him in a position where I just want him to be able to go out there and react. Believe what you see, make the big hit.
Washington State had 245 passing yards last week against UW. Northwestern has been shut down. Scramble drill here. Lausch to throw, and he hits his target with a flag on the play. Bryce Kurtz across the 45-yard line, but we'll check the penalty marker, which is in the backfield.
Yeah, unfortunately, it looks like it's in the area of holding.
Holding. Offense number 65. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. It is still third down.
The backup center, Jackson Carcello.
You see him right in the middle there. And he's got Deshaun Lynch. He's got him all right. Got a hold of that jersey. That's one that officials can see so easily. And you get those. Looked like he was wearing white gloves. I heard you need to not do that, right? You get those light-colored gloves on that dark jersey. It's a bad combination. It's too easy for the officials to see.
Took away a 15-yard completion for Lausch. Lausch with time. Throws to the sideline and out of the reach of Thomas Gordon. There is a flag around the quarterback here. Might be a personal foul.
Oh, wow.
Roughing the passer,
Yep.
defense number 6. 15-yard penalty includes an automatic first down.
I'll tell you, Steve has very similar, like laser shooting, daggers out of his eyes, similar to his father.
Boy, he's learned from the best, man. He really has. It's the way he does the interviews.
The mannerisms.
Yeah, the cadence of his voice, the whole thing.
It's uncanny.
But he was talking about Brian Parham, saying he was going to be getting more play time this week, and just, this is what we've seen from this team the last couple of weeks. 12 penalties a week ago, and well on the way to that number today.
So Northwestern gifted a first down. Jump throw incomplete off a deflection. Joseph Hyman nearly was able to reel it in. Cameron Broussard got a hand on the ball.
Well, and I love the way that Steve Belichick coaches, and these guys just know what to expect, and they know. Once a quarterback escapes, what are his outlets going to be? What is he going to try and do? And on that last play, Carson Bruner just kind of shows up at the last second in that passing lane, makes Lausch panic, makes a faster throw than he wants to, and doesn't have the accuracy on it.
Really tough night for Lausch. 8 for 24, just 53 yards. Lausch escapes the pocket, pass intercepted. In and out of the hands of C.J. Johnson, and Kamori House comes away with it. Johnson trying to make up for it and rip the ball back.
Well, a great throw here from Lausch, but Mr. House says thank you for that gift, and the Huskies get the ball when we come back.
What a performance by the Washington defense. Coming away with a takeaway, their second.
Well, I don't want to take anything away from their takeaway, but that was a good throw by Jack Lausch.
Yep.
And, should have been caught. Johnson knows it. But House able to get the gift interception.
You know, it's interesting that this UW team, I think last week was a good wake-up call for them in a lot of ways, because there are a lot of guys brought aboard on this team from outside the program, some of whom played at FCS levels. There are some guys who have been further down the depth chart for the last couple of years and haven't had an opportunity to step up in big plays. And they had a big moment last week in front of a huge crowd, you know, in the Apple Cup, and they fell flat. That's a good lesson to learn early in your season, especially right on the cusp of starting conference play.
Yeah, you love to have those lessons and wins, but you're right. It was a good lesson even in that loss.
I'll put it this way, I mean, we've talked about this over the course of the season with the way that the college football playoff has expanded. If you put together a strong conference record, let's say you get to you punch a little bit above your weight, perhaps you get to the Big Ten championship game. All right, well, you have a way in. I'm not saying that UW is a favorite by any means to be among the 12 at the end of the season, but you give yourself a shot if you can handle your business in conference play.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, you have more opportunities, right? You got more swings in the batting cage, to use the analogy from the sport that you call so well. Not that you don't call this one well, or hockey. But that's going to make it so much fun, man, this year. 12-team playoff.
Well, it'll give a lot of late season games that didn't have much juice. It'll make them a lot more meaningful down the stretch.
Yeah, we'll see if relegation ever happens.
Well, Vince, hey, one step at a time. Let's get through the 12-team playoff first. Hey, if I had it my way, if I were the commissioner of college football, which they probably should have anyway, and that's another discussion for
Oh,
today.
man.
How about this?
Well, yeah, I think the coaches, the thing they want first plays 23. Oh, wow,
Yeah.
23.
Yeah, that's why I pointed to the monitor.
Yeah. Would you shut up, Robert? I'm pointing at the screen for a reason.
But I mean, that shows too, as much as Washington's had a good night here, Northwestern's had the ball in plus territory, and Washington's defense has come to play, and Northwestern has been ineffective.
Yeah, and remember, we talked about the conversation that we had with Jed Fish, and he said the thing that excites him most, like there's potential, right? They got a lot of young players, not a lot of starts with a lot of these guys, and again, as beneficial as those lessons were in a loss, are on the way from some of those same kind of lessons in a win here. Too many penalties, too many mistakes, wasted opportunities, a lot to grow on.
A lot different from when he was trying to set a baseline standard when he took over at Arizona, the program that is as low as you could get. First year of 1-11 to take them to a 10-win season.
Wouldn't 0-12 be as low as you could get?
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, basically.
You're killing those Wildcat fans. No, but you're absolutely right. And, one of the interesting things that he mentioned that I hadn't even really thought of was how the middle of your roster is exposed now, right? With NIL, those guys that aren't getting a lot of playing time. So to your point, develop guys, but you got to get some of those middle roster players some playing time or they're gone.
Davis knocked down at the 10-yard line. Could have spun away for 6. Second down here. We have the clock inside of 5.5 to play. And the Huskies looking to put an exclamation point on this performance. Play action pass. Rogers, ball tipped and incomplete. He had Hunter at the back of the end zone.
Yeah, Coco Azuma gets those hands up at the last second. And anticipating on that run pass option, draws the linebacker up. Oh, excuse me, that wasn't Azuma. That was Evan Smith. Got those hands up. Azuma was in there at that linebacker spot, got drawn up on the run pass option. Evan Smith, another one of those youngsters, just a sophomore out of Birmingham. A lot of playing time.
Davis met at the point of attack, and it'll be 4th down. Well, Xander Mueller, even in a loss, he's had another typical night, racking up tackles. Standout season last year, and there's going to be an injury timeout here. Washington Husky is down. That's Max McCree. Got a start today at left tackle.
Yeah, he got that start at left tackle because of the injury to Soani Fa'asolo. Hopefully he'll be okay. Washington 4th down when we get back.
Good to see Max McCree walk off on his own power. Well, time for tonight's hardest working players, sponsored by Liberty Mutual Insurance. Only pay for what you need. What a night for Denzel Boston.
Boy, in Boston, you can see that move to the outside, got the cornerback turned around. Right there, dragging guys with him. Nice disciplined routes, coming out flat, making the big catches in all kinds of ways, though, in traffic, contested catches. Huge day. 7 receptions on the day, which is what he came into the season with. Only 7 catches coming into this year, but we got Dunze and that whole crew of wide receivers. Those younger guys aren't going to get a whole lot of opportunities.
You're behind a guy like an All-American, and you're not going to get nearly as many touches. See, they will get the first down, I believe, here. On a 4th down and 1, Jalen Pate with the tackle. Let's see the spot here. And we're going to have a timeout.
For measurement?
For a measurement. And this would essentially help Washington run more clock and help the fans in attendance get to whatever dinner plans they had.
I think, well, some of them may have already
started
on their way.
You're right. Hey, the Link Light Rail is right around the corner from here. Jets you right downtown in 10 minutes. You tried it out.
I did try it out.
Yeah.
I'm even going to pay for it this time around. That was your fault, though.
It was my fault.
I took one free ride, but I bought the round trip, even though I'm only going one way.
We're good.
Honesty's the best policy, Alex.
This is going to be Northwestern ball. You know what, David Braun, they've had a couple of stops here tonight. It's they get their offense to start doing something, and finishing drives, as we mentioned, was a theme. Maybe they can compete in a few of these games, but it's been a real disappointment, you'd have to say, with the way that they've been unable to convert in the red zone. So it'll be Northwestern ball here with 4:29 to play. The Wildcats, their only trip outside the Central or Eastern time zone this season. They played 3 home games to start the year at their another lakefront facility, though that one a temporary one. It's actually a pretty cool vibe over there. Like 12,000 fans. They pack them in.
It's kind of like what Kansas does at the soccer facility. Kansas on a bit of a slide. They dropped to 1 and 3.
It's a bit surprising, huh?
It is, but hey, that's the way it goes in the big city sometimes, right? Like, that's college football, and that's what's going to make it great. You know, another
challenging the ruling on the field that the line to gain was not made.
Chad
Timeout
Fish wants to
Washington.
keep this ball, doesn't he?
Yeah, why not?
Challenge the spot.
Might as well go for it. See if we get a clear look here, and it looks like, you know, that right knee goes down. He does a nice job of keeping the knees from touching earlier. See where the line to gain was. Be close. All right, there we go. Superimposed line. It looks like he got it from that previous view. They must have thought his knee was down right there, and it wasn't. I think he's got first down.
Yeah. First blush, that's what I thought too. Needed to get to the 9-yard line. Kept churning those legs. So we'll see the ruling here.
First down.
After further review, the ruling on the field stands as called. First down and 10, Northwestern. Washington is charged their first time out of the half and their only challenge of the ball game.
Well, that line, of course, unofficial, the red line, but it certainly looked like he got past that, and there was nothing else down before he seemed to cross that superimposed red line. But
part of the problem is the ruling on the field.
yeah, that's a good point. And another good point that Jed Fish made was talking about that middle of roster change that we talked about with NIL. Those guys being exposed and leaving your team are going to cause more of the types of upsets that we saw, like with Northern Illinois over Notre Dame and some of the other big upsets. Going to see more of those.
Yeah, and then Northern Illinois lost to Buffalo today. Welcome to getting back to conference play. Lausch gets rid of this one. Is he outside the tackle box?
I think he had a receiver in the area as well.
Yep.
Wayne helped him to the ground. Very nice of him.
Here's a question for you. We haven't seen Mike Wright here tonight. This was Jack Lausch's game, as we expected it would be from the get-go. It was a really heated quarterback battle in training camp. Ultimately, Wright prevailed at the time. Lausch getting the start last week, getting the start this week. Wonder if there's any change or question about starting quarterback going into week 5. Just amusing late 19-point game.
Well, I think the reason that they went to Lausch is they felt that he was more consistent with his passing. And we saw some low throws from him today. We saw some missed opportunities, I believe, where he had some open throws that he didn't make. But, in talking to him, he said he really benefited from that battle in camp and the ups and downs. And there's just nothing like these live reps, especially in this type of environment. You never want to make excuses for guys, but you have to think that he still has the best opportunity to throw better.
He's going to have a chance here, and it will fall incomplete. He was a great high school athlete. Brother Rice High School in Chicago, 3-sport athlete, baseball, basketball, and football. He's being heavily scouted by baseball teams, Jack Lausch. Got offers actually to play Division I baseball from some pretty good programs. Vandy, Texas, Notre Dame. Started his high school career as a safety on the varsity football team until he won the battle to become the starting quarterback his junior year. Never looked back. Great story on his path from the Daily Northwestern, the student paper. Worth a read on his background. He was a star high school athlete in the Chicagoland area. So here's Boston, looking to add to his all-purpose tally here tonight with an 8-yard return and 3:23 remaining here. 166 all-purpose yards for Denzel Boston here tonight. And what was certainly a statement performance by him, obliterating his previous career highs. Appeared in 14 games, only 5 receptions for 51 yards all of last year, behind all those guys that we talked about on the depth chart. And for Jed Fish's Washington Huskies, they'll get to 3-1 on the season. Certainly some areas of growth here into week 4 and into conference play. They'll keep their home winning streak going. It'll be 17 in a row. They'll beat another Big Ten opponent in the regular season. They'll keep their conference winning streak going, dating back to last year. They finished up with 15 straight Pac-12 victories. And yet in a victory, you can identify areas for improvement. They'll have Rutgers coming up Friday night on Fox. And then visit Michigan, who had a dramatic win over USC today. Latu with another touch here, and some extracurriculars, and a flag.
A little bit of frustration working its way out. Like Latu may have absorbed a late hit out of bounds. Is that Uline?
After the play was over, personal foul defense late hit out of bounds. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run includes an automatic first down.
So that'll move the Huskies into plus territory here as we approach the 2-minute timeout. The standard is certainly back to where it was for this terrific program. It's produced a couple of national championships in its history. They've won 10 or more games in 5 of the last 7 seasons. Rogers flushed out and still makes something out of that. Finding his check down underneath. And Muhammad.
That's Adam Muhammad, just a freshman. And speaking to Scotty Graham, the running back coach, said this guy's one to watch.
Getting some touches here tonight, that's for sure. We hit the 2-minute timeout. Washington on its way to opening Big Ten play in the win column.
But we get hard again. I misidentified the song earlier. It was Magic Man going crazy for you.
Oh, looks like Soto south of downtown, right? Yeah, there you go. Looking north.
Man, it's beautiful.
That's the best kept secret. We were talking about this on the way in here, is that everybody thinks of Seattle as like cold and damp and rainy. That's only really in the winter. You come here in the summer and it's like this all the time.
That's funny. I'm just thinking about all the people that live up here. Like, hey, why don't you move here in late September and you tell us how long that winter is?
Well, it's long. I'm not going to lie. No, I've been here plenty in the winter. There's Muhammad again as they keep it on the ground. And they'll try to get a first down and be able to take some knees and get out of here.
I give a little Soundgarden line. They're looking California and feeling Minnesota. Although Minnesota, I love Minnesota, but it's a little gray here, I think. You know, you get into late September.
It's worth it for this, though. That's the thing. That's what they don't tell you.
Okay.
It's worth it. And for all the Big Ten teams that are going to come in here, the later the season gets, the harder it's going to be for opposing teams to come in here. Not that, you know, some of those harsh winter climates in the Big Ten are hard, but as you talked about, this venerable stadium, more than a century old, gets loud in here. They're going to have a lot of fun hosting some of the blue chip programs in the Big Ten Conference. That's a first down. Another touch for the freshman, Muhammad, and should put this one in the books.
We got one more snap to go.
So Washington will win its 17th straight home game. Second longest streak in the nation behind only the Georgia Bulldogs. And they'll get to 3-1 on the season. And get that historic first Big Ten Conference victory. Coming off the disappointment last week of the Apple Cup, Jed Fish steering his team in the right direction. Big shoes to fill, obviously, after this team went to the national championship game a year ago. Last time they took a loss on their home field was in the Apple Cup back in 2021 against Washington State. This program has come a long way since Jaden DeLora planted the flag for Wazoo right at the W at midfield here. I was on the call for that game. That was a statement then.
But they loved that.
They did not. But this Washington team, they're a force to be reckoned with. We'll see how they measure up against the rest of the Big Ten this season. So for Robert Smith and our entire Fox Sports crew, this is Alex Faust bidding you a good night from Seattle. Let's get to Boise, Idaho. Broncos, Portland State, Eric Collins, Spencer Tillman.